Hi, welcome to another Clinic Hours with me, Scott Humphrey. Well, that was unexpected. Welcome to... They don't call me Scotty Tech Scotty Humphrey for nothing. Welcome to another episode of Clinic Hours here on RPG Clinic. Our usual fearless leader, host, John, is not available at the moment. Exactly, Tomato. Nothing. I didn't forget nothing. So Aragwen, yes, I didn't actually have the wherewithal to set that up because I did not have it set up. So there you go. But I will be monitoring things myself. Today on Clinic Hours, I'm going to be discussing we're going to be... So is that a no? Are you going to need the support? No. Thank you. Today on Clinic Hours, I'm going to be leading a discussion here about something that's very near and dear to my heart, characters. As you all know from how we play our games here on RPG Clinic. Yes, that's right, DJ. Ooh, and his head. You know, as you all know, probably from my channel, twitch.tv/bifftheboss, what I love to do there, my work as an actor, and on RPG Clinic, our focus is on telling the best stories with cool what drives great stories, cool characters, and of course, kind of chatting about it while we do it for better practice, right? Exactly, Tomato. So, what are we talking about today? Character goals. That was my proposal for a topic today because I felt like moving into episode 4 of Exalted Academy, it's a great time for me to reflect on goals I know. Yes, thank you for asking. I have my hydration station here. It's all very good. Yeah, I actually really respect the majority of I really respect all of my streamer friends. I really respect the majority of my streamer friends because they're unable to be derailed mid-sentence. Moving into episode 4 of Exalted Academy very shortly, I thought this was a great time for us to talk about character goals and what that means. This is a good time for me to reflect on pyres. Exactly. Now, let's also fix something else here, whoa, there we go. Yeah, just enjoy, guys. As always, I just want to make sure that people are super clear on the subject. Please feel free to toss questions, thoughts, stories out in chat. I won't be featuring them the way that John normally does, but I will be reading them aloud in my dulcet tones, or whatever kind of tones you want to... just however you want to describe my tones. But I do have thoughts and feelings about exactly Kung Fu Fenders. But I also want to make that very clear. I am not only going to be discussing characters that I have played on RPG Clinic in the past, proceeds to then spend an hour and a half talking about my characters only. Okay. I'm going to try not to do that. That's not the whole point. Yes. All right, so let's just feature this question really quick here. Put that on the thing. Good, it's up. You can't see it, but I can. How do you come up with character goals, and why do you never remember to include Secret Babby in them? Aragwen is obsessed with my characters having secret babies, probably because they often have. And also because that's a very funny trope. I actually don't think it comes up except on soap operas and in my life, my characters' lives. Be clear. We're talking about character goals today, so I think it's really important to introduce the topic by talking about... It answers the why of your character, in my opinion. You know, PCs in any sort of tabletop RPG are not necessarily like normal people, even if you're playing mortals in the World of Darkness, or even if you're playing a sort of more realistic RPG set in a more realistic time and place. They're not the same as everyday people because while they may have obstacles to overcome, commitments, responsibilities, the way we do, things that they enjoy, things that they don't enjoy, they tend to also be able to influence the world around them in ways that we as human beings can also do, but that take us more time to do, if that makes any sense. PCs can usually impact their world more dramatically and more quickly. And therefore, having a goal for your character, or having the character's goals drive your actions, it answers the why of your character. Why does your character do the things that they do? Well, it's, to achieve the goals that they have. So let us talk first about something that's going to feel very actory, and I'm sorry in advance, strong goals. As someone who's trained as an actor, there's a lot of talk around different sort of tools for actors, right? Things that performers can do to help them tell the best stories in the best possible way, the most truthful way, right? So we talk about, you hear about Meisner, you hear about the capital M method, you hear about sense memory, you hear about other kinds of more esoteric work like mask work, or I don't know, other things like that. Scoot's characters attract shrooking. Ooh! Or skrooking, rather. But there is some very important... There's one kind of method derived from the work of Konstantin Stanislavski, Russian sort of theater artist in the late 1800s, who kind of talked a lot about like how to structure the concept of a character. A character isn't a real person, and therefore it is embodied by the actor, right? So more importantly, or rather what we're going to be talking about first and foremost, is the idea of having strong goals. I have a goal every day of my life. It's to survive and be happy. Those are goals. They're also a little passive, right? To be happy can be active, but if I am happy, then it's like, check the box. Survive, I check the box so far. A cat leaps from off camera and just eats me. Let's leave that out of good forsaken society. I do love the idea of good forsaken society. It's very interesting. Oh, he sure is, Elizabeth. I bet he is. When we talk about strong goals, we're referring not to just everyday, like, oh, I need milk and I have to go get milk. Like, yeah, sure, that's like, yes, that fulfills the definition of a goal. But strong goals are ones that are clear and have action associated with them, right? Things that can be, actionable, really. It also gives your character an intention, right? It gives you something to strive for. I know in Exalted 2nd Edition, which I've played a bit of, which is why it's coming to mind right now. Hey! Ash, yes, get in there. I'm gonna get this. Get this here. Whoa, spend those points. Redeem those messages. Water is important. Water is life. See, okay, so Crosshair, for example, says my daily goal. Make sure everyone has the best year ever, day by day, however I can, if I can. That, or have cake, and it's mostly the cake. See, you're included in the everyone, so have cake probably fulfills your make everyone have the best year ever, day by day. But this is what I mean. Have cake, go to the store, call mama, whatever. These are things that, I have them on my to-do list. I also have longer scale goals in terms of like housework or career work or whatever, all this stuff. These aren't particularly strong, dramatic goals for the purposes of role-playing. I'm not going to give examples because that's not where we're at in the stream yet. But hi, Ripley, are you going to come and say hello? Yeah, you're going to derail the stream too, eh, buddy? Yep, right across the keyboard. Sure. Here we go. Yes, straight on the YouTube. Look, Ma, you're famous. All right. No. Sorry, Aragwen. You guys feel free to share. I am not going to share examples as of yet because I think it's more important to sort of like talk more generally for now. Stronger goals, i.e. more specific ones and more actionable ones, are really important, I think, in tabletop role-playing. Specifically because, like I said before, they give your character an intention and they give them something to strive for. moment to moment, you can kind of organize your character's like thought process, right? In terms of what do I want out of this scene, right? This is again something this is very specifically from like an acting background, and I know that. And also, I also realize people, humans, characters, PCs, whatever, they're not always trying to act on a goal all the time. It's very dramatic, right? And that hence why it's like a tool in drama. Sometimes you're just living your life. You don't have an active goal other than like be happy or like don't be sad or whatever. Oh, perfection. Look at that. Here, hang on. It's one of these and then one of these. I think it's the other way. It's okay. Right. See, this is cool. So Wes has a great example. I think this is a really strong one, and I'm going to throw it out there. Vampire and PMC leader, goal, reclaim London from the Kine. Reclaim London is actionable because it probably has a bunch of steps that you need to break down. Ripley, my God. Here she comes. Oh, there we go. What are you doing? Very nice. Thank you for being here, Ripley. Now sit on my lap and don't move. Or go over there. Sure, whatever works for you. Having a goal that can kind of be like broken down into individual sort of like short, medium, long-term things can be useful as well. That's what I was going to say. In Exalted 2nd Edition, I believe it was specifically part of the character generation process. Make sure your character has a goal. You're Exalted. It should be epic, right? So it wasn't just like, you know, reclaim my village from the Yozi. Oh, it could be, but that's like, you know, that's like accomplishable for a Solar Exalted, or especially a circle of Solar Exalted. You know, reclaim the Blessed Isle from the dynasty, from the dynasts is like, yeah, so cash. I know, it's great, right? It's motivation. Thank you, guys. I haven't cracked that book in quite some time because we're now playing Exalted 3rd Edition, which is great. I will also say I think this is starting to sneak into role-playing games in a lot more, like, it's just starting to sneak into more contemporary role-playing games. Whereas I think in a lot of ways, the history of tabletop role-playing games, to me anyway, strikes me like, you know, tell the best stories by embarking upon adventures and, like, take actions in order to achieve a goal that is set for you. Now I feel like there's a lot more games that say, like, create your character. What are they good at? What do they like? What do they want? What does your character want will drive them to join the people in your party, if you're playing with a party of people, or it will drive them to do things, which is obviously part of the reason that we can have drama. Okay, I feel like I'm talking in circles, so we're gonna move ahead because I feel like this is a new idea here. Something I always ask myself, is your goal achievable? Is it something, this is gonna actually run me into something a little later as well, right? Yeah, right, okay, so Crosshair makes a good point before I get into this. TTRPGs, like older school ones, right? More about party goals than character goals. Kill the dragon, burn the village, dethrone the king, claim and divide the loot, try not to get stabbed in the back by Crosshair's rogue character. You know, like those sorts of things. And I think that's actually a really good point, Crosshair, right? So, okay, so here we go. Requiem Lost has got a great example going as well. My current Lunar's goal is to shore up the edge of creation so they can better withstand a large-scale wild invasion, right? If and when it happens again. A wild attack, right? Exactly. Now, so Requiem Lost, this kind of leads me into my achievable goal. Is that achievable? Is there ever a state where your character can go, got it? It seems like a literal lifetime worth of work, and that's not a judgment. It's just something that, like, for me, I always consider that. Is there a point in which in this game I can be like, yes, I did that thing. It is done, or I have left it in a position where I'm happy with it. We've definitely had examples in Exalted Nexus and in Star Wars Reach and in especially Changeling the streaming where our PCs got to a point where we're like, okay, our goals are achieved because we've left them to be managed by other people. And that was good enough. That was achievable. I don't like achievable goals. Okay, great. See, Requiem Lost, this is good. This is the discussion that we're having on clinic hours today. For me, I think it's, and I am, of course, I am absolutely biased is kind of the wrong word. I'm influenced by the fact that I stream a lot of the RPGs that I play, right? So it's useful for me to think about goals in terms of like, can I do them? Yes, no. We're going to get into this a bit later as well. Whether something is achievable also depends on whether your GM, slash storyteller, slash friend, and the other people at the table want you to achieve those things. And not in a meta sense necessarily, but like, will their characters kill you before you achieve the thing? Will the GM, what's an example? When you're building a circle in, say, Exalted, or, well, no, any sort of game, right? Like, if you come from disparate parts of a very large world, your goals may focus on totally different geographic regions. I want to kill the Bull of the North in Exalted. Well, what if your campaign's not happening in the North? What if no one else is even from that region? When we played Full Party on Beanduck's Twitch channel, this was ages ago, I very deliberately created a character that was from a place that I thought would be really cool. It kind of matched the character concept, but because of how the party kind of came together, we moved away from that region. So I had to make sure, and we had kind of discussed that at least a little bit in advance, we're not going to be spending the campaign here. Okay, I can't have a geographic specific goal for my character, or it'll never get done. Now, let's have a quick look over here. Goals can change based on achievement too. Bardlock's goal, CC, doink everyone, make a lot of money for minimal effort, check. Surviving is nice, let's start there. Oh, definitely not a shame. Okay. Retain a crafter without killing them. That will be our goal for Exalted. I mean, weirdness, now that we're playing Dragonblooded, maybe it's possible. Oh. Right, okay, so Wes, exactly. I'm putting the Edward Staffers again, after reclaiming London. So once he claims London, keep it, fine, become the prince. Boom, it's another step that can be like, great, I'm shifting this into another gear. This kind of is going to bring me to a bigger topic that we're going to talk about later, right? But the idea of, hi Roger Twy, thank you, that's me. Oh, hang on. It's going to bring me into a topic later as well, which is about narrative control at the table. People who storytell, I mean, okay, this is a way bigger, yeah, exactly. So DJ makes a good point as well, really quickly. The idea of short versus medium versus long-term goals for you in your life and for your character. Again, I'm not suggesting everyone goes home, throws out all of their papers, all of their character sheets, and starts from scratch if you don't have a goal for your character. Not at all. I feel like it's a really useful tool for me as a player, and I wanted to share that with you guys today. I feel like it's a really useful tool for me to get a sense of, how do I want my character to grow? Well, I want them to be able to do this, so they probably need to do that. And I'm going to get into that in a few moments here. So Crosshair says, do goals have to be achievable? It's a bit of a trope, but okay. We'll go into this fight, take it on the Empire, we'll die before we succeed, but we have to try. I would argue that trying is ideally achieving. You wouldn't try if you really truly thought you couldn't do it. Sorry, okay, that's actually not 100% true, right? I can think of examples of applying for a job that you have no business getting, but only so that they see your resume, not to get the job. But there you go. Woo! A downtime which written is 4 times larger than your uni dissertation. Wes, that is a lot of writing, and I would be, there's a lot there. There's a lot happening, and I would be curious to know more about it. Okay. We've been talking about whether something is achievable or not. I wanted to put that out there because I wanted to sort of define a goal as something that could be done. Just not something totally, yeah, there you go, Aragwen, plausibly achievable. I don't know know if I would, like, I'm not even sure if I want to make any, like, should statements today, because I'm not 100% the expert here. I'm sharing kind of what works for me in my development of characters for streaming role-playing games, in order to make them interesting and excited. Aragwen's bossy. We love it. Thelia just started playing Exalted recently. 3rd edition? Solars? Let us know. My character's making medicines and just established a medicinal drug trade to her up-and-coming town, so that way she can afford the lifestyle that she was used to before exalting. Oh my god! Thelia! Motivation. I want to be as comfortable as I used to be. Or, I mean, that in Exalted, that might be a principle, possibly, or like, you know, comfort, wealth brings comfort or something could be a principle of your character, like of a character, right? But the idea of like, that's the goal. Therefore, I am going to do this. I'm going to set up a drug trade, medicinal drugs. Don't, you know, she enjoys the finer things in life. Pew pew! Thelia, I assume, well, no, I don't assume this actually. Very specifically, my first character on RPGClinic, Jorik, in Exaltwitch Nexus, very specifically, that was the phrasing of one of the only intimacies that I started the game with. Enjoy the finer things in life. It's just incredible. Excellent. I feel a kinship here already. It's good. Right. So, okay, cool. Crosshair. An impossible goal can still work as it has that someone has to do something. If it spurs you to action, I say bueno. I say go for it. Because, and we've all experienced this, myself included, everyone's experienced this in a tabletop role-playing game. There's a big breath, and then everyone just kind of sits around because nobody has an idea of what to do next. And maybe that's just because everyone's tired. Maybe that's just because, like, well, what the hell do we do? The world is in ruin. By having a goal, you can defeat Cthulhu. Good luck with that, buddy. Take on the Elder Gods in a boxing match. Okie dokie. There's something important about the idea of, like, if your character has something that they want to strive for, they will take action towards it. And that will kind of reduce, not eliminate, but like reduce the idea of needing downtime or, well, let's just enjoy ourselves, as opposed to, okay, like, what's the next thing that happens in the plot? Sit there, twiddle your thumbs, etc. Wes says, my friend group is doing a pirate campaign. I have a character idea for a freed pit fighter / gladiator. Yeah, so, Wes, I would be very interested to know a bit more about whether, and I'm going to get into this again in a second, because I'm actually going to flip this over right now, and then we're going to talk about it. Whoop. Setting a goal for your character can be useful in character generation or in character creation. I try to do it as part of creating my character. My concept is rarely like, you know, person who wants to achieve thing. It's more just like, oh, I want to play this archetype, or like, oh, this character from media that I've been enjoying. That would be really cool to try to embody in my own quirky, weird-ass way. Does your freed pit fighter / gladiator have something that they want to fight for? Is it is it justice, and they're justice, and therefore going around the world trying to distribute what they think of as justice is their goal? Or is it specific places, right? Oh, I've heard that this place has a real problem with, I don't know what exactly. I'm going to go and deal with that. Or is it just, I need to fight as many people as I can. I need to be known as not the best fighter, a good fighter. Let me know what your thoughts are, Wes, as I read Aragwen's sentence here. Oh, also, thank you for the ping at the bits. Aragwen, I had a character whose primary goal was deliver a perfect death. She was an assassin who wanted to receive a mission for a kill, discover the perfectly just means of death, know the victim understands the reason for their death, witness them accept it, observe peace prior to their death. It nearly happened once, but the person didn't feel peace, and there were explosions. So she had to take him out too soon. I'm sorry, Aragwen. See, what I love about that, Aragwen, is I get the sense, and this is actually something I should mention, I'll mention it in this section while we talk about as a character creation tool. I get the sense that your character has a reason for wanting that. I don't know what it is, because I don't know your character, but I get the sense that she wants to deliver a perfect death to anybody for a reason. She wants to perhaps have control, or she wants to be able to explain to someone the ins and outs, the workings of the world, right? Potentially. I also like it because it's difficult, but achievable, plausibly or theoretically. I love that. Great. Okay, I'm zipping through here. All right. DJ Zesty says, always punch up is a great one. A great one being a great sort of like principle, right? I am very happy that Kate used that wording in Exalted Academy episode 1, because Pyres immediately was like, oh, that's a great, and took it on as a principle. The idea of not bullying or not, punching down, right? Do you find that the intimacies are a cheat sheet for goals, or do you think they simply complement them in character generation? Whoops. She missed. Episode 2 was basically just a fight. Good fight. Episode 1 was pretty cool, I say. Took someone down a couple pegs. It was good. I'm going to come back to this Crosshair. She was from a tribal community of assassins that worship the idea and god of death. Great. They feed themselves poison, get bitten by snakes over time. Yikes. They does death. Okay, so rather than an individual character motivation, it's like a cultural thing, right? Like, she's from sort of a culture or community where bringing death to people is not, intrinsically evil, but rather something that you want to do because it's divine, right? I love this. Okie dokie, we're Deadpool. Okay, Crosshair asks, do you find that the intimacies are a cheat sheet for goals, or do you think they simply complement them in character generation? In Exalted 3rd Edition, part of your character sheet are intimacies. Intimacies are both mechanical, crunch, because they can be used in social influence or used to resist social influence. Let's just turn this down a little bit here. That's a W. Yep, there you go. Goal achieved for the day, Ash. Mwah. Okay. On your character sheet, right? So for Exalted specifically, principles and ties are the things that you have connections to in the world or beliefs that you hold. You need to select some at character creation, mechanically speaking, because, like I said, they can be used either to defend yourself against social influence. I don't want to do that. I love Jorik. Or they can be used to exploit you. I think you should do this. Jorik would want you to. Wow, I love Jorik, A knight cast. Of course she was. I mean, that actually makes a ton of sense. So, do intimacies complement the idea of character goals? Yes, because I would argue one could quite easily have a principle, a defining principle of I will insert goal here, right? It always comes back to Jorg. I know, I'm kind of the worst. It's just the worst, guys. So it can certainly, the idea of intimacies in Exalted 3rd Edition can definitely be useful to help you name the things, so that you're not just dancing around ideas. Well, my character really likes the idea of being free. Last time I played D&D 5th, my concept was like a warlock, and therefore had like a relationship to a patron, right, to get his powers, but also was chaotic neutral, classic, because he needed everyone, to be free, even if that was at the expense of, order or society. That was kind of his, absolutely, Ash, yeah, no, 100%. So when I was kind of creating my character, I was like, freedom is like a very nebulous term, though, right? Like it's an idea more than anything. You can apply it to any situation you want. Oh, is this person free? Yes, no. No? Yes, I will go free them. Whereas, and then obviously that contrasts nicely with like being in servitude to a demon, which is what my warlock was. Ash, you're literally playing a game built around the idea of doing what you want to do with little to no lasting consequences. Well, they have lasting consequences in the world of the game, but I agree, Ash, 100% though. Interesting. Have a big, strong goal for your character, because take risks, right? Because, take risks, ! Have fun. Do something that you think is going to be cool for yourself. Okay, I have to go back to Requiem here. Favorite intimacy I have thus far is indolence in power leads to corruption. I don't know why. I love it. Being the head of a merc group, it applies to her to always stay active, and if they enter a town where the leader is corrupt, I have a goal. Which is great. Fantastic. Jesus, Ash. Sorry. It's the Bard way. Doom, 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 doom. Okay. So, I've kind of danced around Crosshair's question for a long time here, speaking of dancing around things. Are intimacies a replacement for having a strong goal? No, not at all. I love that Exalted 3rd Edition builds in a mechanic that requires you to define your relationship to things. If you don't have a relationship to anything, you're adrift in the universe. We all have relationships to things. That's like one of the universal things about being a human being. Whoa, language is really tough, guys. Thanks, Sarah. It's very true. Language is incredibly difficult, and you should all know it. Therefore, having ties to the world makes you, interact with the world, so that you can't just be like, I don't like anyone or anything. I go my own way all the time. And having principles means that you have things that you would be willing to fight for. Again, this kind of relates to something a tool that I had access to when I was studying performance. The idea of having traits for your character, right? Adjectives to describe them. Oh, groundbreaking. What was suggested at the time is that no human would be complete if they didn't have the tags passionate and proud. Now, not everyone's passionate 100% of the time. Not everyone's proud 100% of the time. But if you are lacking in some degree of pride, you're essentially just you're like Gollum / Smeagol, right? You're filled up with obsession for a thing, but you don't care about yourself at all, which obviously, again, there's varying levels of that. But and then passionate, similarly, you would be a robot if you weren't passionate about something. And again, I put that, I don't want to make huge generalizations, because obviously there are circumstances in which people have their passions ebb and flow, and the feeling, the feeling of that can kind of come and go. So I'm not judging people based on where they're at today or not. But it was a tool for sort of looking at a character and going, okay, what are they proud of in their life? What are they passionate about in their life? Their partner, their child, their house, getting revenge on Bill, etc. That sort of thing. Crosshair. EX3 intimacies work as a cheat sheet because it gives some players some freedom, especially new ones. They can define your character goals definitely, but never replace player goals. Player goals versus character goals. Now, that is not a topic that I had allowed for here, but I think we're going to add it because that actually sounds like... Let's see if that fits. Bosh. Intimacies are built on lies. Whoa. The goals of your character exist within the world of the game. The goals that you have as a player, might not. Oh, I really wish we could see Nexus. Say, I really want to go to the west. That was a headcanon goal for me when I was playing Exalted Nexus. I don't know why. I just think it's so cool. But the story was never going to go there alone and without a lot of it wasn't something I wanted to sacrifice other stories for. But when it came time to wrap up that campaign, I was like, I bet you I'd be there. I bet you my character would be there. You know? Requiem, it's a good joke, and we love it here. I just want to turn up and shoot arrows at stuff. Wes, that's cool too. Goal. Have fun by shooting arrows. Bam. Why do you think we go to archery? Have fun, shoot arrows, improve your skill at archery. I love it. Player, I want to go to Nexus. Character, I hate Nexus. My God, why is your character in such anguish? I feel like I'm being controlled. Player goals should never, I am going to say this, never be at the expense of someone else at the table. Obviously, in the same way that you should, making a joke at the expense of someone at the table. Oh my, uh-oh. Sorry, I think I'm in the wrong playlist here, guy. Yikes, let me just, whoop. I think the playlist kind of jumped around a little bit, and all of a sudden we were into some perhaps more copyright material. I think we'll be okay. It's almost always most interesting when player and character goals are in conflict. Now, okay, Kung Fu Fenders, I want to come back to this because I don't know a lot about Scion and I want to get edumacated. Perfect Requiem. When player and character goals are in conflict. Now, I find that an interesting topic, right? Because it's not like the character has something that they want but can't have. That's drama, right? It's that you, the person who are making the choices for your character, want something that they don't, or vice versa. At the end of the day, and this is actually something I want to point out because it came up recently in a different, in an RPG context, but differently. At the end of the day, your character is the sum of the actions that you take, not the other way around. Well, not you. I had this discussion sort of, again, in a theater setting. You know, there's famous stories of actors being like, I don't think my character would do that. Your character does it, therefore that's your character, not the other way around. You don't make up who you're playing and then decide those actions from there, although you do. Any action you take becomes part of your character. So when I hear people saying like, Braum would never do that, I'm like, Braum does what he does, man. Etc. And that applies to everybody. The idea, right, exactly. And what a man. Oh, of character, I see. Okay. He does things. Braum is me. I am Braum. Hello. Did you bring the plaid for me? Or the character reacts or did something the player would never do. Ah, okay. Thelia raises an interesting point. Could your character have a goal that you, the player, can't pursue, won't pursue, wouldn't pursue, etc.? You just have to be, I guess, a little bit careful that it's not, that you're not, like, playing only for therapeutic purposes, although role-playing can be very therapeutic, or there's a good word for it, and it's gone from my head. It's Greek. I'll come back to it in a second. Cathartic, that's the one. Oh, great. Thank you, Kung Fu Fenders. I was just coming back to this. But yeah, I just wanted to point out, because I think it's an important point to make. If you, the player, has a goal for your character, that's great, that your character may not know. Oh, I really want to see what happens when Braum's like at the beach. Sure, fine. He would never think about going to the beach. I think he's about going to the beach. Fine. It can't be at the expense of someone else around the table. I really want my character to undo the achievement of someone sitting across from me. Unless you've discussed it with them, that's probably going to be a shit move. For example, I have a major intimacy to South Kathak. Might mean the character has values that you as the person wouldn't. Right, exactly, Crosshair. And I just want to return to the idea of action-defining character. I know it's like quite heady right now. We're talking sort of real philosophical stuff. But I think that it bears mentioning again. You have a concept for something that you're playing, right? That concept might be as simple as, I have sword, I hit sword stuff. Profit. Or it might be as complex as Wes's dissertation. I assume everything Aragwen does at all points in her life. Sorry to call you out specifically, but like in a good way. you have good thoughts in your head. Ash, nail on the head. That's a fabulous way to describe that. But you start the game, you start playing with a concept of what you want to do. But as the game progresses, your actions that your character takes, the sum of those becomes the character. In the same way that like people are judged essentially by what they do, not by who they are as a nebulous concept. If I say I would never steal and then I proceed to steal things, if I say, I don't find you very interesting, but then I hang on your every word, you see what I mean? Like, my current major goals character, says Ash, is to get away from the cultural expectations around race and family. Okay, I would be curious to know how your character wants to achieve that. Like, how do you get away from expectations? Because this will reveal your character. Do you go hard and rebel against them? Exactly, Crosshair. And that's fine. That's really interesting. Maybe your character thinks they need that ability to defend against all the horrible thieves out there. It's an interesting choice. Ash, yeah, is your character, like, rebelling, like, actively by saying, like, well, you don't think I can have pink hair? Like, well, fuck you. I don't know. Or the opposite. The opposite. Moving far away and just trying to start a new life as someone totally different. Or subtly working towards changing their expectations of her. That's an interesting kind of tack, too. I'm just putting it all out there. Okay. Character goals clash, says Crosshair. Agreed, Crosshair. Very important. I'm coming back to these guys. Character goals can screw over your party members. Not too much, but where player goals can't screw over another player at all, because we're here for fun. It's not fun to get screwed over. Thank you. Character goals often clash, and that's what makes drama. And that's also why I really enjoy RPG Clinic games, because I don't enjoy the stream. Just kidding. It's because we have an opportunity to have our characters clash over certain things. Okay, Kung Fu Fenris, I'm back to Scion 2nd Edition. Fate Binding. You have a set of mechanics available to give your character a fate binding. It gives them an archetypal relationship with an NPC, lover, rival, etc., nemesis. Whenever you interact with those connections, you gain resources whenever you do bad things to your own character and their relationship. Interesting. Okay, so you can choose, it sounds like, to bind your character to another character in an archetypical way, and then whenever you do things that reinforces that archetypical relationship, you get resources, or the opposite, whenever you undermine it. Probably when you reinforce it. Okay. Ash says, being a half nymph, she's expected to be very sexualized, personally asexual. Fucking phenomenal, take. I like it. Wants the personal connection without expectations. Very quiet. Trying to fight those expectations overall. I'd say slow burn. Fantastic. It's something that you're playing. It doesn't even have to necessarily be out there in people's faces. This is what my character is doing, right? I love that. Oh, I know, Crosshair. Hey, are you enjoying your coconut of drink? Because you don't have to do the thing that's normally required? Damn you, Wes. No. Okay. Also, she's a fucking bard. Okay. When you reinforce it in a way that's negative to the character but enforces the archetype, bam. Undermining yourself to gain resources for later. Love that. Oh, gorgeous. Okay. We're moving forwards. Well, not forward so much as we are moving back to where I was before. As a character generation tool. Okay. Like I said before, everyone has their own process for this. When I come up with a character, I get inspired by usually a character that already exists, and then I think to myself, what would I do with that sort of archetype or style? So it's either usually, so when I come up with a character, it's usually based on their profession, what they do, or how they are, right? Their traits. Again, based usually on media. When I start to build the character in terms of buying points or rolling for stats or whatever, I'm going to come back to this Gilligood. Once I'm doing that, I start to think, okay, what would someone with these skills want to accomplish potentially? Be that selfish or not. Lunatic Design, hello, and thank you for the raid. Welcome. Oh, hi, Luna. So I think I could also, and I'm trying to think if I've ever done this for an RPG Clinic stream. I don't think so. Start with the idea of a goal in mind, right? I really want to play a character in Exalted who wants to build themselves a base of power. That's like as a starting point, say. That's an example. So if that's something that you want your character to be able to do, okay, well then you get to start making choices about how they might interact with the world. What I will say is, if you build your character with a goal in mind, there is probably, for some, maybe just me, there might be a temptation to game the system a bit. If I buy these things now, it'll be easier for me to accomplish my goal later. Hello, Lunatic Design. Welcome to Clinic Hours. You know, I just think... And again, that's not a bad thing because there are player types, and as long as you're GMing / storytelling and you know the types of the players around the table with you, everyone can have fun because you can make that shit mesh. Yeah. Right. Okay, so Requiem kind of, I think, is summing this up really well. I tend to come up with the goals after the grunt work of character creation is done, right? You've got your dots or whatever stats. I take a look at their defining and major principles, if we're talking about Exalted, and decide what sort of goal would they have. Maybe I've already named it as a defining principle. I will not tolerate, I could blank. That stuff, right? Okay, and so Wes gamed the creation for Ventru to get 4 dots and dominate. That is, I would argue, look, I am not an expert in Vampire. All I know is whenever I open the book to the various, they're not called arts in Vampire. I don't even know what they're called. Disciplines. Whenever I open the book to different disciplines, I'm like, holy fuck, this is too good. OP, this is OP, that's OP. Just incredible. If everything is OP, is nothing overpowered? I'm coming back to Gilligood's question. Seek something, avoid something. Decide on how pragmatic or obsessed or principled they are about it, says DJ. This can be phobias or vices and virtues. See, I think this is fabulous as well. This is another tack, right? The idea of starting from a base of, okay, what kinds of things does my character really want to do all the time, behavior-wise, or really want to avoid? That's another really cool way of kind of defining it. I figured I wanted to play a character when we did Star Wars Reach who was really nervous, anxious, and had sort of physical and whatever kind of tics to go along with that. Just because I thought that would be a fun thing for me to do, to play. Then I started to say, okay, what kind of person would be like that? Could be any kind of person, but in my opinion, right? Okay, I'm zipping back because there was a great question earlier from Gillard Good. Oh, wow. You guys talk a lot in a good way. I have to find it, though. Any GM worth a damn will try at some point to put a character goal at a clash with another character goal or group goal or story goal. What's your perspective on those situations? Gilligood, I think it is the easiest way to highlight a player who needs a highlight. That's what I'm going to say about it. As someone who has run a few games now, and I'm really happy with the fact that RPG Clinic has been able to give us all as players opportunities to, hop in the driver's seat, so to speak, the storyteller's seat, to varying or lesser extents. Being able to, not heavy-handedly, but being able to deliberately say, okay, this person's goal will be in direct conflict with this person's goal if I do X or Y as a storyteller, means that then you get to highlight how they're going to react. That's drama. Boom. I love it. So Gilligood is awesome. Okay. Well, Wes, maybe I will. I'm finding, this is off topic. Surprise. I'm finding over the last sort of year or so, having so much awesome like content produced through RPG Clinic has been such a boon for me and my creativity, when a lot of my creativity relies on being able to interact with other people directly, and I can't currently, right? So being able to channel some of that creativity into role-playing games, creating them, playing in them, etc., it's been such a boon, and I really appreciate it. Okay, Crosshair, my trick to character creation, 3 steps. 1, what are they? Fire arrow healer. Shoot fire arrows, get fire heals. 2, where are they? In their life, right? They know themselves, they don't know what they do, they're figuring themselves out. Okay, so step 2 is like, how far along are they in their self-actualization process? 3, who they are. Let's just see how they would react. So I love that. You're thinking about it. You're thinking about how you can. You're like parsing out how a character might react in different circumstances, right? Fantastic. This is an important point. I'm bringing it up now, folks. Use your word hole. It should say use your word hole. Yeah, let me just change that for you. It's because it's all caps. Use your word. Kung Fu Fenris, I get it, man. I get it. It's hitting a lot of people really hard for various reasons. Social reasons, creative reasons. I totally get it. Time to hydrate, says me. Use your word hole. This is something that's very famously said here on RPG Clinic. It's from probably the very first clinic hours that was ever had. Ever done, I mean. Way back in the dark ages. Back in the day. But it's an important phrase. It means communicate. It means no worries for the rest of your days. Hakuna Matata. No, it means communicate with the people at the table. If you're telling the story, if you're the storyteller / GM / whatever, facilitator, you could say it like that, DJ. If you're GMing, or kind of, in other words, often leading, right? You want to be in communication with your players. Are you enjoying this? What is something you want to see more of? If you're a player, you want to be communicating with your GM. Oh, I really liked this moment because it let me blank. Do this. I really didn't enjoy this episode as much because I felt like it was too high octane and I got really confused by all the stats. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, it really is. I actually would agree with that. I think it's probably rule number, like the Orichalcum rule, right? Have fun. Fun trumps. No. Yeah, story trumps. That's the golden rule is story trumps mechanics. But Orichalcum rule, if you don't like a rule, change it for fun, right? I don't remember which way around they are now because I'm an expert. Use your word hole. If you have a goal for your character, you gotta tell someone, right? If you need it to be a surprise. John did an episode on secrets at one point. I know, like a Clinic Hours episode, at least partially about secrets, because as one of his sort of things, when he has people create characters for his games, he says, make sure you have at least one secret. Tell me your secret. Secret information, there's immediate stakes. You don't want people to find out for one reason or another. For example, all of our Exaltwitch Academy characters have at least one secret intimacy, which is, I believe, currently removed from, well, they're listed as hidden, I believe, on Lockcasting Atemi. You can see them there. They are hidden possibly because they would be embarrassing, possibly because they're dangerous, possibly because they just haven't really thought about telling people, you know? John is correct. I always liken it to a card game. If you don't draw a certain card when you play a game, it's as if it was never in your deck in the first place, right? You know, if you're looking for something, if you don't find it, it's like it was never there. Schrodinger's card. Or whatever the fuck. Ah, thank you, Gillet Good. Yes, there you go. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, if the setting or the logic of the world would be broken by an exploitation of the rules, it doesn't work. And frankly, I think that's generally good practice when we're playing games and doing things together. If someone is not cheating, but bending the rules so that they can have a desired outcome, well, is that desired outcome desired by everybody or just them? That's like the key, right? Use your word hole is important here because, as Crosshair points out, if you have a goal but you never tell anyone what it is, that doesn't mean your character has to come out and say, like, I really want to travel to the Nail of Truth. Exactly. Saren makes a good point here as well, guys. MacGuffins, as a trope, are really important sometimes as storytelling tools. The briefcase in Pulp Fiction, etc., right? The MacGuffin family heirloom in the play that I wrote, whatever. Flex. It's not the secret itself, it's not the content of the secret so much as it is the stakes around having a secret and needing to keep it safe. What's in the box? When you have a goal for your character, be it secret or otherwise, if you want to communicate it only through actions and words and stuff that your character uses, that's fine. That's still using your word hole. That's great. I'm trying to think of a good example. Okay, a great example. In my opinion, sorry. I'm always going to say great example and then immediately pat myself on the back for something that I did. So, like, please forgive me. It's going to happen a lot. But I feel like this is a good example of this happening. Late in the life of Changeling the Streaming, Wes, I realize you're not done the thing, so I don't think it's a spoiler. No, this isn't a spoiler. This is something that Braum wants to do later in the game. So if you need to plug your ears or whatever, that's fine, but it's not I don't think it's a big spoiler. Braum decided at some point in the game that he wants to build a freehold or find one or create one somehow. That would be his way of putting glamour back into the world after having taken some, in a manner of speaking, right? And so I feel like, I mentioned it, I used my word hole and I mentioned it to John. Like, he had asked or I told him or whatever. So he knew as the storyteller that was something I wanted to do. I thought about how I could try to achieve it in game, what actions I could take that would actually be of use. And like, yes, mechanically speaking, like I realize in the book it says to create a freehold you have to do X, Y, and Z. So can I do those things? No. Okay, I'm gonna need like patches or whatever, or Sophia, I guess. But more so, it was about, okay, how can I start planting the seed now of something that Braum wants to do in the future? Again, for those of you who haven't seen Changeling the Streaming, I don't know if that makes any sense, but Braum is a character that I played and it was a long-running game, and therefore we had numerous obstacles to overcome and goals to try to achieve over time. That was one that I came up with towards the end of the life cycle of the game, because I kind of, at a certain moment, I was like, at a certain moment, I kind of thought to myself, well, what's left? What do I have for myself, right? That is probably true, actually, Pukajutsu. So, Pook, I'm going to let Wes back in, and then I'm going to do an impression for you, okay? Here we go. I hope that was obvious enough, Wes. This is going on YouTube. Yes, I find Scott is just simply the more dramatic, out there version of myself. Like if I wore hot pants all the time, that is Scott to me, Braum. I am Braum. Okay, let's continue, shall we? Hi, Pook, by the way. I didn't, whoop! This is something that we talked about briefly. Combining goals and word hole use. Appreciate Session 0. It's the perfect spot to let folk know that Pyres wants to do the sexing with the Scarlet Empress, and then folks can be like, no, Scott. No. Thanks, Wes, by the way. Very, very, very nice. Thank you. No. She's gone. Is she gone? Or has she just not met Pyres yet? Oh, Pook. I won't pry, and I won't force you to reveal anything here. I want to say on behalf of everybody who's here in the chat, we love you very much. Can we get some RPG... Oh, hello, John. Can we get some RPGClinic hearts in the chat, please? Best wishes. Much strength. We love you very much. Okay? Thank you. Hi, John. How are you? Thank you. Oh, yeah, this is going to be good. Okay, boom. Get those hearts in there. Okay, smash that like button. I do like to tell other players my character goals to see what we can do as a group to try to achieve them and how our goals might work together. Requiem, fantastic. Wow, there's a lot happening. Thank God. Oh, you are all fabulous folks. Big fan. Mwah. Requiem makes a great point here, too, as well. Telling other characters your goals in character so that they can be like, wow, that's so funny. I also want to go and get a milkshake. Or like, I also want to go and have sex with the Scarlet Empress. Or like, I also want to like undo the world of create. I also want to like institute the technocracy as the government of the world or whatever. Maybe there'll be a nice confluence, right? Like a nice kind of coming together of things. Or maybe it'll provide opportunity for drama, which I think actually brings me back. Well, you know, it's possible, Zen. It's very possible. Pork buns. Oh yeah, hi, Kung Fu Fenders. It's just an example. I wouldn't worry too much about it. DJ, bam, bam, bam. DJ, play my song. Thank you, DJ. That's very kind. Very kind. Okay. Sharing narrative is where I'm at here in the sort of like thought process. We were talking briefly before about using your word hole and communicating that if your character has a goal, like communicating it so that people know, because if they don't know, how are you going to be able to help kind of get things over, get things moving in that direction? Kind of akin to, as we were saying before, John, it's kind of akin to the idea of having a secret. If your character doesn't tell anybody, like, what's the point? Sharing narrative is where I wanted to go next, because this is an important point, I think, for people who play with different gaming groups or, you know, different kind of makeup of gaming groups, right? I think I know the group that I play with now quite well in terms of, like, what we all enjoy, where we're all at, and that sort of thing. And well, it's an important topic specifically under the idea of having goals and kind of pushing your character's goals forwards, right? Are you playing? This is question number one, and it's an important one to ask yourself. Are you playing at the table with someone who really likes to have narrative control or drive narrative forward through their actions? Now, obviously, sometimes that can be negative, right? It's that one player who's always like, cool, yeah, great. I shoot him in the face. I shoot him in the dick. Like always just throwing a wrench into the works because they want to fight, or they want to just sow chaos for no reason. Crosshair, I know you want to sow chaos for a very specific reason, and that's cool. That's not always negative, and it can be very fun. I shoot him in the dick. Exactly. Or it can be the opposite. People who craft narrative really well and who are really skilled at kind of creating the type of drama that people enjoy watching in film and television and theater and etc. and video games. They can like to have narrative control as well, because then great stories get told. However, I want to say, this is important, regardless of the state of play at your table, it's really important to, as Crosshair mentioned before, in a session 0, when you're kind of figuring out what the game's going to be and like what everybody wants to do and like what people are not okay with, etc., I think it's important to share, if you have either a very specific vision of your character's goals, or even if you don't necessarily yet, I think it's important to share, hey guys, at some point, I think I'm going to want my character to be able to do this. And hopefully you have a storyteller/GM who is okay with sharing narrative focus. This player is a bit more in focus today, this player is a bit more in focus the next time. This pairing of people is having kind of a story between them, with this person playing sort of second fiddle, so to speak. It's a real balancing act, and it's not easy. And especially, and like, I know that when we kind of are able to like start playing around tables again with other people. What? Lamira, get what do you get? Not actually here. Come on. I'm gonna come back to that Requiem. I think that's gonna be great. Where I was at was, yes, I'm looking forward to being able to play around the table again, and if I ever decide to run a game that isn't just like one shot long, one sort of 2 to 3 hour session, and if I really want to do that and I feel passionate about it, I'm gonna need to be really clear with the people that are in the game that I'm running. Hey guys, I'm relatively new to this whole thing. It might be hard for me to balance who's in focus at any one time. So, speak up during session, between session, whatever. Big hearts. I want you to, give me feedback on whether you feel heard, whether you feel like your goals are able to be pursued. This kind of leads me into something. Right, okay. Be mindful of co-players. Now, Kung Fu Fenris, I gotta ask you, when you say co-players, do you mean people who are like co-piloting your character? Like they're like backseat driving, like they're playing your character for you? I just want to know. I'm going to get into Requiem here. Requiem said, one ST described the idea of sharing narrative as each player being a town, and to thrive, they need to trade, share the narrative with other towns. Well, he explained it better. I mean, I think you explained it pretty well here. Co-players or co-player? Whoa. Oh, yes, be mindful of other players. Right, of course. Yeah, no, of course, absolutely, always. If it's, ideally we're all like intensely attuned to other people in this superhuman way, right? That's an idealized state. It's not a real thing. You can't be 100% attuned to other people all the time. And nor should you be. You should live your own life. Fuck. But sharing narrative is a great way for us to, I think, as humans, which I assume you all are. Thanks, John. It's a great opportunity, I think, for us all to practice listening to each other, right? Thank you, Ash. Good idea. I think it's a great opportunity for us all to practice, what it is to listen to other people. Hey, I wonder if this person hasn't said a lot in a while. Are they enjoying themselves, or do they wish they could say more? Do they wish they had the spotlight? Offer, right? An active offer. Or vice versa. This player has a lot to say. Is it because they need to have narrative control all the time, and that's the only way they're going to have fun? Or is it maybe that they're worried that if they don't fill the space, no one else will, because they see everyone else as like less kind of dramatic as themselves, or whatever it is. There's a lot of different variables, and I think the only way to really explore those people, the only way to really explore all of those variables is to be in the situation and just try to listen as best as you can. Sharing narrative is a really important concept, and I think when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I said before, I don't want to issue like big blanket statements necessarily. Character goals, having actionable, clear, strong goals for your character is a great tool that I have for building my characters and keeping them interesting. To me, to the other people at the table, and, in our case, to the audience as well. But I'm doing my best as a player to also know when it's my character's time to do something that will be able to take a step towards their goal, and when it's time for me to support someone else to do the same. Nothing worse than being like, I'm going to achieve this thing, and someone steps in front of you, and they're like, well, I can do it in a more direct fashion, so just excuse me, right? Unless that's your thing. Maybe you want to support people. This reminds me of a system that I was reading up a lot on recently, actually, which I haven't gotten a chance to play as of yet, called 7th Sea, in which you define your character's goals in a list. And then every time you achieve a step of them, you get experience. I don't remember exactly the state of it now. Kind of in discussion with certain people about this, I mean, it was mentioned, and then I kind of also thought about it myself. That's like quite railroady, in my opinion. The idea that everyone is like, I'm going to do this, 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 this. It doesn't leave a ton of room for freedom and improvisation. I think it can be really cool, but I think it's also important to be able to keep an open mind, right? That's why I like to have, like I said before, and as I've said numerous times today, strong, relatively concrete goals for myself, so that I can say, now is the time when I can pursue them. Oh, here's a great opportunity. Or like, we're about to enter some downtime. What can I be doing to pursue my goal here? Okay. Railroad for lulz. Coming in hot. We've already discussed this, but it's on my list, so I'm gonna put it here anyway. Inherently selfish? Is having a goal for your character inherently selfish? No. I think in a lot of ways, yeah, sorry, this reminds me of a National Geographic article many years ago. Was it Science? I think it was National Geographic. The cover, pure clickbait, the cover was, is Darwin wrong? And you're like, oh, fuck, like they're getting to the evolution debate. I grab the copy, flip it open. No. 10 pages of explanation about the theory of evolution. Mwah. It's incredible. Is having a goal for your character inherently selfish? No, not at all. Could it be? Sure. If it only pertains to you. But that doesn't mean that other people in your party can't assist / want to contradict you or oppose you in this. It also doesn't, it means that you could have goals in relation to other people in your party, right? Being selfish gets a bad rep, in my opinion. Hot take? I'm interested. Maybe, but be selfish, people. If you're never selfish, all of you will be given to others. Crosshair makes a good point, and this kind of goes back to something I said earlier, right? If you don't have sort of some degree of like pride in yourself, and this is one interpretation, right? But if you don't have some degree of pride in something that you do, then you are essentially at the whims of everybody. Everyone can and should have personal goals, says Zen. Just don't let them be at the expense of others. Exactly, as we have been. Yes, exactly as we've been saying. Perfect. Greater good. See, if I may, Kate, Valeria from Exalt Witch Nexus is a fantastic example of a character who, because of her cast and because of her history, had a very clear goal. It's actionable and it's doable, but the goalposts shift on it, I think, which is amazing. Like that's what I loved, Kate, if I can say that, fucking 5 years after the fact. What I love about it is that the world is sick, heal the world, or creation or whatever, is a very actionable, concrete goal, something that you're setting out to fix, to do, because you're a healer. Amazing. But the goalposts on what sick means, or ill, can move. And that's why it's so it's exciting, because as a player, you then have the opportunity to decide for yourself, well, what does my character think sickness is? Is it important for my character to have all the power so that I can achieve this goal? Or not, right? I just think it's just fabulous. DJ dropping some hot philosophy here, some hot fill. If your ambition is to build, beware of the foundations. If it is to destroy, beware those who rely on what you want to destroy. Right. There's relationships between everyone all the time, right? If your character is in a party with other characters, you're bound to have a relationship with them. The relationship doesn't have to be, get Braum a date. Get Patches a date. It doesn't have to be like, help Ray settle her dad down somewhere. Whatever the characters are. But if your character does have a goal for another person in the party, I think that's kind of cool. It can be a really useful tool for if you're having trouble really defining how you want the relationship to start to play out and see if the other player wants to go that way with you or not. Set a goal for yourself, right? That's great. I think that's good, actionable advice. Delia, things happen. If you're having trouble sort of defining like, I have really clear relationships with these two people, but, I'm the bard and I'm the rogue and they're the paladin. That would probably be a pretty clear relationship, but whatever. Like, if you have another character in the party, this is especially true of, I would say, in like larger games. So let's say like live action role-playing games. At a certain point, there's a scale where you can't interact with everybody. But if it's more than just a couple of other players, maybe you don't have you have stronger relationships with some than others. Fine. Challenge yourself, though. Set a relationship with... Hey, I'm not dumb. Were you serious? Set yourself a challenge of saying, like, I think this person would want to try to do this for, or with, or to this other person. Example, if I may. Again, I'm going to keep bringing up examples of me. I know I said I wouldn't, but I am. Pretty much through the majority of Changeling the Streaming, Brom decided really early on, that he wanted to be buddy-buddy with Incisor. He felt that they were similar people. Like, intangibly. There was something about them both, and I think it was because they were both, like, warriors, in his mind. Therefore, they should be friends. Therefore, they should get along, and therefore, they should be like a team. That never really happened, but I'd be damned if I didn't keep trying to pursue it. Because, and that's not, again, that's not a problem. I'm not saying that's an issue. It's just it gave me something to do to try to work towards. If you enter into a scene in a role-playing game with someone that you know, you don't have to decide what it is that you think they need from you. But if you have a goal in mind for your interaction with that person in that scene or more generally, bam, it's going to drive your actions for them and make for more interesting role-playing, IMO. Okay, so, to conclude, in a rut, goal it up. It's terrible, and I'm going to change that right away. We're reaching sort of the end-ish of the stream, I would say. We're getting there. But as I kind of just underlined there, I think using goals for your character as a way of saying, okay, well, like, I've achieved a few things, or like, we've done really cool shit in the game so far, but now what? I'm feeling a bit at loose ends. Set a goal for yourself based on what your character has already done, what they hope to do, etc. Oh, I don't know. Oh, okay. He's going to Google here, folks. If anyone from Google is watching. Lion horses. Oh my god. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Crosshair. The thing I want to note here is selfish goals are fine. They can drive the story. They can make your character stronger. But, because there's always a but, only if it's not taking away from other people's selfish goals. Exactly. We're all here to have fun. We've already said this. Like, and that's not to say don't keep saying it. It's super important. Thank you, Kung Fu Fenris. I will. Look, you're all over it, Crosshair, and I think we're all on the same page, guys, right? We're here to have fun. And one way to help keep things either fresh or to start building a character that you think is going to be exciting to play is to define actionable goals for yourself. Things that you know you can accomplish, or at least you can work towards. Wes makes a good point here as well. Goals don't have to be finished to change them. You've decided to do something, and then you decide, oh, I can't, or I won't, or that doesn't make sense to me anymore, or my moral ground has shifted, or whatever, right? Requiem, we know you're all about the badass mount, so this actually makes perfect sense to me. Okay. Aragorn, I have a feeling like we're about to do a nice, excellent recap based on your comment here. It's going to be perfect. This may have been mentioned while I was away, but in my opinion, and at my table, your character's goals are important, unless they are A, intended to contradict the intent of the game, hashtag use your word hole. If the GM storyteller has a goal in mind for the game or the intention of it, I really want to explore the politics of late 1970s Montreal. Cool, I want to burn down the ocean. Like, fuck, man, like, okay, that actually could go together. But if it's going to contradict the intention of the game, you're not going to have fun, because you're never going to get a chance to do those things, or if you do, people are going to try to pull you back away from it. Or B, cannot be reconciled with that intent. Okay, that's what I just said. You want your character to be a hero. Your character may not want to, but your player goal is that they're a hero eventually. If your character goals are going to prevent this, maybe change the goals up? Yeah. I'm going to blow up the ocean. Yeah. I mean, in the world of Exalted, you sure can. I feel like I could have lots of clinic hours on all sorts of different subjects, but I wanted to wrap this up by talking about me, because that's how I do. I wanted to talk a little bit about where I'm at right now in Exalted Witch Academy. In terms of goals. In my character creation, and this you can go and watch the VOD on RPG Clinic's YouTube channel of the character creation that I did with John for Pyres. I've been really enjoying playing Pyres so far. It's pretty far from a few things that I've done before, which is really cool, and I see a lot of growth potential. But I very specifically wanted to make a character who had trained to do one thing, but believed he was destined for something else. What I haven't done, and I think this is an important point I'm going to make here, I haven't named the thing that I want to do yet. And I've justified it by saying, well, Pyres doesn't know. He just knows what he's good at, and he knows what he likes. But he doesn't know what he wants to do, right? He's in his angsty teenage phase, if you will. And I will. But I just want to point out that, like, for me, that's not an actionable goal as of yet. And I see it going one of two ways. Path A here, nobody puts Pyres in a corner. He'll burn it down and then maybe try to seduce you in it. I don't know. I just don't know, okay? Path A is Pyres saying, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and therefore I'm going to go find out. And then there's this crazy-ass montage, in my mind, montage of him being like, firefighter? Doctor? Mail carrier? You know, like, exotic dancer? You know what I mean? Like, all sorts of crazy shit that he's trying out to see what works for him. Or B, something is going to occur for him. Something is going to become important enough that he do that will then impact what he thinks he should become and sort of like evolve into, so to speak. I'm so excited. I don't know what this is. I can't wait. Well, yeah, I just want to dance, you know? It's very possible. Okay. I always imagine that whenever Pyres looks in a mirror, he has yet to truly see himself. Does that sound odd? It doesn't sound odd, Requiem. It's a great metaphor for what I'm trying to play here, and I'm actually really happy that you say that. Thank you. There's, and again, I'm contradicting my own advice to a certain extent here, but like, I set myself down as having a strong goal, but an undefined one. The idea of a character who says, I want something, but it's not this. It's something more, and then he sings or whatever. Kidding. It's leaving a lot open, and I think the pitfall that I need to watch out for... Oh, one of those better be mine, Elizabeth. Pizza! Oh my god, Aragorn, what if? What if he became a tailor or something? Charming. The pitfall that I'm looking to avoid, and I'm putting this out there in the world so that I'm keeping myself accountable to it, I don't want it to get into a situation where my goal is too nebulous that I don't take actions towards trying to discover it. I don't want to get into a situation... okay, perfect, Requiem. Pyre's goal is to find himself. It can be dangerous, but it can be done... If it's done right, it can be awesome. I don't want to get into a situation where it's like, I just want to find myself. And then I just sit around on the grass doing nothing because I can't think of what I would do to discover myself. Everyone's so fucking nice. Like, go to jail. This is clinic hours. This isn't Be Night to Scott Power Hour. Tune into twitch.tv/BiffTheBoss for this is like, being nice to Scott Power Hour. Go on. Well, exactly, Crosshair. Essential services only. Come on over. You're close, right? To here, I mean. That's what I want to just put out there in the world, is that I think where I'm at right now in Exalt Twitch Academy is that I want to continue to uncover what Pyres wants to do. He wants to discover more about the world and his place in it. And that may take him further afield. It may take him down the hall. I don't know. I'm really excited to jump on Aragorn's comment here in a moment. But I don't want to get into a situation where I have choice paralysis about stuff. So I have to decide for myself, am I going to take small actionable steps, try this, try that, try this, or am I going to find something that Pyres is passionate about that he's going to pursue that will hopefully lead him to something that he wants to do? Exactly. Gilligood, you're not always nice. We're almost always nice. Wait, we're almost always nice. How did I read not in there? There we go. I think it's dangerous to be someone in the House of Bells, says Aragorn, who demonstrates absolute certainty in what he wants to achieve and the legacy path he's following, and have no idea what you really want. All right, Aragorn. Now you said you. Now, are you referring to me, the player, or me, the Pyres? It's an interesting question. I'm really excited to continue to explore this. I think the conflict between, yes, this is my destiny, this is my legacy, this is where I'm coming from and where I'm going and what I'm good at in the present moment, playing against what Pyres might actually want to do and how he feels that he's meant for something else. I think that's interesting, but we're going to have to see. Role-playing is all about taking risks too, right? Streaming a role-playing game. Particularly because, in reference to existing episodes, what if Pyres makes a decision driven by his current path that will hurt him when he figures out what it is he does want? One of my goals as a player is to play a character who isn't thinking about stuff all the time. He is doing stuff all the time. Someone who is more in touch with their emotions. I kind of described it to John, or I described it to Liz, I think, actually, at some point, as like the guy who stands up in class and says, like, you're wrong! And then they're like, what do you mean you're wrong? And I'm like, I don't know why, but I know it! I feel it! And then they storm out. Oh, the genre of rap battle and Mad Burns. I will take it, and I love it. Okay, that's what I wanted to end on, because I am a selfish human. Right. This has been Character Goals on Clinic Hours. It's a short episode because I do need to go eat some of that pizza behind this, infinite backdrop here. And then we have other things later this evening. But I hope people have really enjoyed. But I'm hungry. Oh, have you all not heard my stomach rumbling on the stream? I hope you've all enjoyed sort of this discussion. It was a bit nebulous. I tried to have like a nice order to things, and then we kind of went all over the place. You all got to share. I got to share a lot. It's been great. Quick reminder, if you want to see some of this in action, you can join us on Sundays at 1800 hours Eastern, right here on this channel for Exalt Twitch Academy, our current live play, let's play of Exalted 3rd Edition Dragonblood Academy, which is a lot of fun. We're having a blast so far, and the tinfoil hats are going on, which is a good time. Throughout the week, there's lots going on in our community of streamers here. Come on, drop stuff in the chat here. Uh-oh. Did he not launch the bot? Don't think he did. No, that's a bad Scotty. That's not so good. A pizza party is where you have a party with pizza. Oh, no, don't. Yeah, definitely not, Zen. Don't you worry about that. I think you had things to do, didn't you? Join our Discord for all the goings-on. Quick fill-in, though, just to let you know how busy things are around here. Tomorrow at 1800 hours, it's Punchy with Elizabeth. Saturday at 1500 hours Eastern, it's The Drew Crew with Elizabeth and myself. Sunday at 1800, like I said, is Exalt Academy. Monday, the Coolian streams in the evenings. Tuesday, I stream in the evenings. Twitch.tv/Biff the Boss. Thank you very much, Aragwen. Saturday morning, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, is a rewatch of Exalted Academy, Episode 3. If you can't catch it live because you're in another time zone, hopefully this one's better. Join us because it's a blast. We have a lot of fun times. Thank you, guys. Thank you for shouting at me. I really appreciate it. More scooter clinics? No. More scooter prep for one-shots? Maybe. We will talk. I have really enjoyed this, guys, and I really appreciate everything that y'alls have been throwing out there, and I just want to put things out there in the world and see what sticks, you know? It's a good time, and we have lots more. Oh, I should mention Scrub Check next Wednesday, because that's less than a week away. Generally, John does Scrub Checks on his channel. I am going to enjoy my pizza. Folks, have a wonderful rest of the evening/time of day that it is for you. Yeah, chat. Everyone's really great. That's all. I think that's all I'm going to say, really. Yeah, you know what? You know where I'm going to leave it? I'm going to leave it with the most important piece of advice I ever received from one Johnny fucking Verrill. Don't forget to use your word hole. Communicate, damn it. And take care of each other. Bye.